Secretary of State John Kerry went even further while testifying on Capitol Hill today. Wolf, he made some pretty unusual and personal criticisms of the Israeli Prime Minister. He said he was wrong in opposing the nuclear talks with Iran, just as he was profoundly wrong in his support for George W. Bush in the war with Iraq. Wolf.
All right, Dana, thanks very much. We're back with Ed Royce, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I think he was before your committee, the Secretary. Your reaction to what he said? Give me a quick reaction to what Secretary Kerry said, the negative comments he made about Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Well, remember, this is a very consequential discussion here because so far 80% of the concessions have gone to Iran. Now, if Iran gets undetectable nuclear breakout capability, or as the IAEA say, if Iran refuses to give us the evidence about their thousands of pages of documents that the IAEA has about their efforts to build this bomb, then it's not just Israel that is the loser in this, it's the United States. So I think certainly the Prime Minister has every right to speak out, and I think Congress, being a institution, has the right to invite the Prime Minister of Israel to talk about concerns which, frankly, are joint concerns for the United States interests.
Let me play a clip. This is Susan Rice, the President's National Security Advisor, speaking to Charlie Rose. Right. Listen to this.
What has happened over the last several weeks, by virtue of the invitation that was issued by the Speaker and the acceptance of it by Prime Minister Netanyahu on 2 weeks in advance of his election, is that on both sides there has now been injected a degree of partisanship, which is not only unfortunate, I think it's destructive of the fabric of the relationship.
Destructive, that's a strong word.
Why would the spokesman for the administration be ratcheting this up to say that this is destructive of the fabric of the relationship? Can't we get back to a debate about the issue at hand? And the issue at hand, as I say, is very consequential. If they end up with, you just saw the report on North Korea earlier, if we end up with Iran having 100 ICBMs and the nuclear weapons to put on top of them because we have not got an agreement which is verifiable, then on our watch we've done with Iran exactly what happened with North Korea. And that's the issue here.
And you want the military use of force resolution, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you told Hugh Hewitt the other day, you would like that resolution now before Congress, the draft the President put forward, not only to deal with ISIS potentially, but also military use of force potentially to be used against Iran.
I did indicate that I thought would be a step. But I think that's on the table anyway. The President has already said that if Iran develops a nuclear weapon, he would take action. The point would be to put that in the authorization of use of force. Upon reflection, I would think there'd be two downsides to that. One, I'm not sure that would directly influence Iran. And second, that would make it more difficult for us to get the votes to pass it. So I don't think that's the way forward.
I want to play this clip. This is James Comey, the FBI director, speaking about the surveillance of terror suspects, ISIS and other terror groups here in the United States, because I was alarmed when I heard it today.
Those people exist in every state. Right? I have homegrown violent extremist investigations in every single state. Right? Until a few weeks ago, there was 49 states. Alaska had none, which I couldn't quite figure out. But Alaska has now joined the group. So we have investigations of people in various stages of radicalizing in all 50 states.
That's pretty alarming stuff. And it comes at a time when the Department of Homeland Security is in danger of losing its funding. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I think that you see today that the bill is going to come out of the Senate. It will come to the House. There's a clear majority in the Senate and the House to pass this legislation.
Clean bill without any connection to immigration.
And I think the other part of this issue will be won in the courts. It will be won in the courts, as you saw the initial judge's decision, because it's clear to me that it is overreach on the part of the President, these executive orders. But that, I think, ultimately gets decided there.
So you want a clean bill to pass the Senate, funding the Department of Homeland Security, and then that bill, without any additional amendments involving immigration or whatever, a clean bill to be allowed to come up for an up or down vote by the Speaker of the House.
At the end of the day, we have got to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and we've got to do that by the end of business at the end of this week. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen, Wolf.
You think the Speaker will go along with you? Because, you know, I spoke with some of your more conservative colleagues who say that they won't vote for it unless there's a specific piece of language in that legislation that does not allow the president to go forward with his unilateral actions on immigration.
And we passed legislation to do that, but as you know, it takes 60 votes to get something out of the Senate. That's why the avenue now of going into the courts, which actually is working in terms of producing results, is the way forward.
Because it's all on hold now anyhow, the president's executive actions on immigration, because a federal judge in Texas says it's unconstitutional for him to do so. Let's see if he can get that done by Friday midnight, because we all want the Department of Homeland Security funded. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
We're going to stay on top.